Top force left. Top. Give me the way. I think that's right. 5-1. Please. And move on. I'm out. Mike. Give me a 30, Bill. Thank you. Thanks, Thanks, Coach.
Go. 3 seconds. Shoot it. Shoot it.
Yeah.
Good defense. Go. Offside, boys.
Good back, board.
Go right at the end.
Who's got 13?
Yes, look up. go, girls. Look under. Look under. Get under. Jump out. Run this side. Run this side. Now cut.
Good basket, good shot.
Hey,
School for today's Division III NHIA girls basketball game between the visiting Spartans from White Mountains High School and your very own Mascoma Royals. The NHIA Mascoma High School strongly advocates good sportsmanship. Let's all do our part to make this happen. Please utilize positive cheering throughout the entirety of the contest in an attempt to make the atmosphere exciting for all in attendance. We ask you to demonstrate good sportsmanship by showing respect for the players, the coaches, the officials, and the spectators sitting around you. Guests who fail to meet these expectations will be asked to leave the facility. Be loud, be proud, but be positive. Also, just a heads up, the bathroom facilities are located just outside the gymnasium off the hallway behind you, or just off the main lobby by the concession stand. In an unlikely event that an emergency or fire alarm activation takes place, all occupants are to leave the building near the nearest exit. And finally, just a reminder for the safety of the players, coaches, and officials, no fans are allowed on the playing surface at any time before, during, or immediately after the game. And now for tonight's starting lineups. First, starting for the visiting Spartans. Number 4, Mackenzie Foss. Number 5, Harper Rowe. Number 10, Reese DuBois. Number 12, Kaya Quintana. And number 21, Olivia Lorenz. White Mountains is coached by Chris Foss and is assisted by Aaron Ford. And now, starting for the Royals, number 1, Grace Clifford. Number 2, Molly Gray. Number 11, Erin Jason. Number 12, Sophia Smith. And number 23, Lila Jacobson. Mascoma is coached by Mark Rockwood and is assisted by Derek Hero. Today's officials are John Hawk and Tim Dauphiné. And at this time, if I could ask you to all please rise and remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem. Just a heads up, tonight's game is being live streamed, compliments of Mascoma AV, and you can catch the game at youtube.com/@Mascoma Schools. That's youtube.com/@Mascoma Schools. Also, check out Royal Sports Report on Instagram. Commentary coming to us from Cam Bergeron tonight.
Hello, welcome to another Lady Royals game, and it's going to be the Royals to take the tip-off. It's going to be great a pump fake, and it's going to be blocked, and it's going to be now in Jacobson's hand. Clifford, now to Smith. Now it's going to be Gray to miss the pass, but it's going to be out of bounds in the Royals somehow. Now it's going to be Foss. Missed the pass, going to be stolen by Smith. And it's going to be stolen by White Mountains. And now it's going to be White Mountains Rowe, who will give it to Lorenz. Back to Rowe. Now to Foss. And it's going to be a missed shot from Foss. Sorry, Rowe. It's going to be back to Rowe, and Rowe will take a floater, will miss it, and Rowe will just miss another layup, and it's going to be out of bounds on White Mountains. And it's going to be Rowe, who will give it all the way to Du Bois. Back to Rowe, and Rowe will make the 3-point for the White Mountains. Now it's going to be Jacobson to Smith. Now it's going to be Gray. And Gray will miss a pass to Clifford. And it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. That's going to be Lorenz to miss a layup. And it's going to be Chason with the rebound. Now it's going to be Smith to Gray on the inside. It's going to be stolen by White Mountains. And it's now going to be Du Bois. He will give it to Rowe. Now Tomo to Rowe. Now to Foss. And it's going to be stolen by Gray, who will give it to Smith. And Smith will settle it and now dribble almost all the way. And Smith will give it to Jacobson. And it's going to be a missed pass to Jacobson. It's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. And it looks like there's going to be a swatted pass from the Royals to be out of bounds on them. Now it's going to be Lorenz, who will give it to Tomo. Now it's Rowe. We'll take another 3 and we'll just miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by White Mountains. It's going to be rounded by not Jacobson, Smith. It's going to be Smith to Clifford. Now to Gray, and Gray will pump fake and just miss a pass. And it's going to be now Rowe with the ball. That's going to be Lorenz to take a 3-point and we'll miss it. It's going to be rebounded by... It's not actually going to be rebounded by Chason, and Chason will let it out of bounds for the Royals. Now it's going to be Smith. And Smith will dribble past White Mountain defenders and give it all the way to Jacobson. Jacobson will give it to Clifford. All the way to Smith, and it's going to be White Mountains who ends up with it, and it's going to be now Rowe, who stole the ball from the Royals, who will give it to Foss. And now it's going to be back to Rowe, who will give it to Lorenz. And it looks to be a foul on the Royals. Foss will make the first free throw. And it's going to be Peyton Clement to come in for Lila Jacobson. And Foss will miss the second free throw. It's going to be rebounded by Clifford. And Clifford will give it to Smith. Back to Clifford. Now to Chason, and Chason will pump fake. And it's going to be a missed pass to Clifford. And it's going to be Royals ball. It's going to be Gray. It's going to be off White Mountain's foot. And now it's going to be Gray, who will get it swatted away, but Gray will still end up with it and give it to Smith, and Smith back to Gray, and Gray will take a 3-point and will just miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Du Bois, who will give it to Rowe. It's going to be Foss to miss a layup. It's rebounded by Clifford, and Clifford will give it to Smith. Now Smith will give it all the way to Clement, and Clement will just miss a pass. Now it's going to be Rowe, again with the ball for White Mountains. Now it's going to be Tomo. And it's going to be fouled on the Royals. And now it's going to be Du Bois. Take a floater and will miss it, and it's getting rebounded by Gray, who will give it to Chason, and Chason will give back to Gray. It's going to be Smith, and Smith will just miss a 3. And now it's going to be Rowe, and it's going to be a foul on the Royals. It's going to be Rowe to make his first free throw. And Rowe will make the second free throw for White Mountains. And it looks like it's going to be Coach Rockwood take the first time out of the game for the Royals. And it's going to be a slow scoring game for both teams. It's going to be 6-0. And after Coach Rockwood's first timeout, it'll be Royals ball, and it's going to be Smith to take the inbound from Clifford. That's going to be Clement, who will just miss a pass to Chason. And now it's going to be Rowe with the ball for White Mountains. He'll give it to Foss, and it's going to be a big blocked pass by Smith. That's going to be Rowe to take the inbound from Foss. Rowe. And it's going to be stolen by Smith. And now Smith will settle it and give it to Chason. And Chason will take a mid-range miss it, and it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. Now it's going to be Foss for White Mountains, who will give it to Lorenz. Now it's going to be Tomo to Du Bois. And it's going to be a foul on Smith. It's going to be Tomo, who will, and it's actually going to be a backcourt violation on Tomo, and it's going to be Royals ball. And Emerson will come in for Chason. It's Gray with the ball. We'll give it to Clifford. That's going to be Clement, who will drop a pass. And it's going to be stolen by Rowe. And Rowe is going to be blocked by Clifford. And Clifford, not sorry, it's now going to be still White Mountains ball. And Tamil will take a 3-pointer and will make it for White Mountains. Now it's going to be Gray. And Gray will give it to Clement. Now it's going to be Clifford to Gray, and Gray will drive in and take a mid-range, will just miss it. And it's going to be out of bounds on White Mountains. Now it's going to be Clifford all the way to Gray. Now it's going to be Emerson. Back to Gray, and it's going to be a foul on White Mountains. Now it's going to be Gray to receive the inbound from Clifford. Now it's going to be Emerson. It's going to be Petty to Clement, and Clement will give it back to Clifford. Now it's going to be a foul on White Mountains, as the pass was intended for Emerson. Now it's going to be Clifford all the way to Petty, and Petty will give it to Emerson. Emerson will take a mid-range and will just miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by White Mountains, and now it's going to be Foss with a wide open lane, and Foss will make an easy layup for White Mountains. And it's going to be a little bit too much on the pass there from Gray. It's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. Now it's going to be Kenson with the ball. And Kenson will give it to Lorenz, and Lorenz will have an easy layup for the White Mountains. Now it's going to be Gray, who will give it to Petty. And Petty will give it to... Now it's going to be Clement to take a mid-range for the Royals and will miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Lorenz, who will give it to Rowe, and Rowe will give it to Foss, and it's going to be a missed layup. And Rowe will give it back to Foss. Now it's going to be Kenson to Rowe, now to Lorenz. It's going to be Kenson to miss a 3-point, but it's rebounded by Foss. And it's missed layups everywhere now from the White Mountains. It's be now Kenson, who will give it to Lorenz. And it's going to be offensive foul on Lorenz. And it's going to be Gray with the ball with 15 seconds to go. And it's going to be a missed pass, and it's going to be stolen by White Mountains. And it's going to be Foss to Kenson. And Kenson will give it to Rowe, and Rowe will take a 3-point shot and make it for a buzzer beater for White Mountains. And it's going to be 15-0 White Mountains to end of the first quarter. And it's going to be White Mountains ball to start the second quarter. And it's going to be Rowe to Foss. Now it's going to be Foss once again, who will get to Tomo, all the way to Rowe. Now to Kenson. And it's going to be back to Foss. Now it's going to be Tomos to Rowe, and Rowe will give it to Kenson. And it's going to be Clement with the steal. Now it's going to be Clement to Smith, and Smith will just drop the pass. And now it's going to be Rowe. We'll give it to Foss, and Foss will make an easy layup for White Mountains. And Smith will find Clifford, and Clifford will just miss the layup. And it's going to be Ingerson with the ball. We'll give it to Foss, and Foss will take a three and will just miss it. And that's going to be rebounded by Clement. We'll give it to Smith, and Smith will find Petty all the way at the end. But it's going to be out of bounds on White Mountains, and Jacobson will come in for Clifford. Now it's going to be Jacobson, and Jacobson will give it to Emerson. It's going to be all the way to Petty, but it's not going to be Smith, and Smith will take a three and will just miss it. And it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. Now it's going to be Rowe for White Mountains. Now it's going to be Ingerson. And it's going to be stolen by Petty, and Petty will give it to Smith, and Smith with the wide open lane will receive a foul, and Smith will take 2 free throws for the Royals. And Smith will make the first free throw for the Royals. And Smith will just miss the second one. It's going to be rebounded by Tomo for White Mountains. And Tomo will give it to Du Bois. And now it's going to be Rowe to take another 3-point and will just miss it. It's going to be rebounded by Tomo. And it's going to be in everyone's hands. Now it's going to be Smith with the ball. That's going to be Smith. Receive the screen from Emerson. And that's going to be Petty. And now it's going to be Jacobson. And Jacobson will have an easy layup for the Royals. That's going to be Rowe. And Rowe will give it to Foss. And Foss will give it to Tomo. It's going to be back to Foss. And it's going to be this pass from White Mountains. It's going to be stolen by Jacobson, who will give it to Smith. Smith will cross over and take a layup and will just miss it and receive no foul. That's rebounded by Smith. Smith will give it to Jacobson. Back to Smith. And it's going to be stolen by White Mountains. It's stolen by Smith once again. And Smith will give it to Emerson. Petty will get a 3-point shot blocked. It's going to be rebounded by Tomo for White Mountains. Tomo will give it to Du Bois. Back to Tomo. Now to Ingerson. Ingerson will take a shot, will miss it, and it's going to be rebounded by Smith. Now Smith will give it to Emerson, and Emerson will save it from going out of bounds. Now it's Clement. And Clement will give it to Jacobson. And Jacobson will give it all the way to Smith, and Smith will not receive a foul. And it's going to be saved out of bounds by Jacobson. Now it's going to be Smith to settle it, who will find Jacobson down low. And Jacobson will find Petty down low. And it's jump ball. Actually, it's going to be hold on White Mountains. It's going to be Royals ball for an inbound. And Petty will come out for Gray. Emerson, he'll give it to Smith. Smith will find Clement. Now Clement will miss a pass, but it's ultimately going to be now Jacobson with the ball. And looks like a little confusion. But I think it's going to be the Royals' ball. That's going to be Smith, who will give it to Gray, and Gray will receive a foul. That's going to be Gray, who will give it to Smith. That's going to be Clement. And Clement will cross over and lose her dribble. Now it's going to be Du Bois, back to Rowe. Rowe will take a mid-range and will miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Lorenz. It's going to be Ingerson to make a three for White Mountains. Now it's Smith to Gray, and stolen once again by White Mountains. It's going to be Tomo. And Tomo will spin. It's going to be foul on Gray. Clement will come out for Chason. That's going to be Du Bois. We'll give it to Rowe. Now it's going to be stolen by Smith. Now Smith will find Gray open, and Gray will receive a foul and then just miss the layup. And Gray will just miss the first free throw. And Gray will just miss the second one. Looks like the hoop just didn't want it to go in there. And now it's going to be Lorenz all the way to Tomo. And Tomo will give it to Rowe. Back to Tomo. It's going to be Du Bois. And Du Bois will give it to Lorenz, and then Lorenz will miss a reverse layup. It's going to be rebounded by Rowe. And Rowe will receive a foul and take 2 free throws. And it's going to be Rowe to miss the first free throw. And it's going to be Clifford to come in for Emerson. And Rowe will make the second free throw. And it's going to be Smith with the ball for the Royals once again. Now it's going to be Jacobson. Back to Smith. And it's going to be Gray in the corner, and will just miss a three. It's going to be rebounded by Du Bois, and it's going to be received out of bounds by Rowe for White Mountains, but it's going to be Royals to take the ball away, and it's going to be missed mid-range from Clifford. That's going to be Rowe. And it's going to be stolen once again by the Royals, and it's going to be Chason with the ball. And Chason will give it to Jacobson, and Chason will drive in. And it's going to be stolen by Tomo from White Mountains. Now it's going to be Rowe. And it looks to be a jump ball. It's going to be White Mountains ball. Now it's going to be Tomo to Rowe, and Rowe will take a three and will make it. Now it's going to be Smith, who will receive a screen from Gray. And Smith will find Jacobson. Back to Smith, and Smith will give it back to Jacobson. Jacobson will take a three and will just miss it. Now it's going to be Rowe with the ball. And Rowe will give it to Tomo, and Tomo will lose her dribble. And it's going to be jump ball. It's going to be Royals ball. Now it's going to be Smith for the Royals. Smith will give it to Jacobson. Now it's going to be Gray. That's going to be Chason. Back to Gray. It's going to be Jacobson, who will settle it and get out of the corner. And it's going to be a blocking foul on Du Bois. And it's going to be Jacobson to take it out of the... Yes, it's going to be 2 shots for Jacobson. Jacobson will make the first free throw. And Harkins will come in for Chason. It's going to be rebounded by Clifford. And it's going to be jump ball. And it's going to be White Mountains ball. And it's going to be a long pass all the way to Kenson. Now it's going to be Ingerson to get to Hertel. Now it's going to be rebounded by the Royals. And now it's going to be Smith with the ball. Now it's going to be Gray. And it's going to be missed pass from Gray. So it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. And it's going to be a foul on Molly Gray. And it's going to be Peck to come in for Gray. Now it's going to be Tomo to take the sideline, who will give it to Du Bois. Now it's going to be Ingerson. Back to Du Bois. That's going to be Hertel. And it's going to be Du Bois with 30 seconds to go, who will give it to Ingerson. And Ingerson will just miss the 3. It's going to be rebounded by Tomo. And it's going to be travel on Tomo. It's going to be Royals ball. Now it's going to be Smith with 15 seconds to go, and Harkins will let it fly like a kite and just miss it. And it's going to be swatted out of bounds by the Royals. That's going to be Du Bois all the way to Kenson. And it's going to be a missed 3-point. And it's going to be Harkins. We'll give it to Smith, and Smith will take a 3 and will just miss it. But it's going to be the end of the first half. It's going to be 4-24 as White Mountains slowly pull away. And it's going to be 24-4 to start the second half. And it looks to be Royals ball. And it's going to be Jacobson to take the sideline. Now it's going to be Smith, who will give it to Jacobson. Now it's going to be Clement. And Clement will miss a pass. And it's going to be Tomo, who will give it to Rowe. It's back to Tomo. And Rowe will give it to Lorenz. Now it's going to be Rowe to take another three. Will just miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Clement. Now it's going to be Smith. Now it's back to Smith. Now it's going to be Clifford. And Clifford will give it back to Smith. And Smith will give it to Clement. And Clement will take a mid-range and will make it. Now it's going to be Du Bois. Now it's going to be Rowe. And Rowe will give it all the way to Du Bois. Now it's going to be Tomo. And Tomo will take a mid-range and will make it. Now it's going to be Smith. And Smith will give it to Jacobson. Jacobson to drive in, and it's going to be travel on Jacobson. Now it's going to be Tomo to Du Bois. And Du Bois will spin and give it to Rowe. Now it's going to be back to Tomo. And Tomo will move out and give it to Du Bois. And Du Bois will miss a pass to Rowe. And it's going to be Royals ball. It's going to be Smith. And Smith will give it to Gray. Now it's going to be Clifford. And Clifford will miss the pass to Jacobson. It's going to be Du Bois now with the ball for White Mountains. And Du Bois will give it to Rowe. And it's going to be back to Du Bois. And it's now going to be Tomo, who will give it to Lorenz, and it's going to be out of bounds. On White Mountains, it's going to be Royals ball. Oh no, it's actually going to be out of bounds on the Royals. Now it's going to be Tomo to Ingerson. Now it's going to be to Rowe, and it's going to be out of bounds on White Mountains this time. And it's going to be Gray, who will give it to Clifford. Now to Jacobson. Jacobson will take a three and will make it. And it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. And it's going to be Tomo to Rowe. And Tomo will give it back to Rowe. And it's going to be stolen by Jacobson, who will give it to Smith. Smith will give it to Clifford, and Clifford will just miss a mid-range. And it's going to be swatted out of bounds by Gray. And now it's going to be Lorenz, who will give it back to Rowe. That's going to be all the way to Du Bois, to Ingerson, and Ingerson will make the layup for White Mountains. That's going to be Smith, who will cross over, and it's going to be stolen by Lorenz. And Lorenz will give it to Rowe, and Rowe will take a mid-range and will miss it, but Rowe will receive a foul. And it's going to be Rowe to make the first free throw. And Rowe will make the second free throw. That's going to be Jacobson, and Jacobson will settle it, drive in, and Jacobson will have an easy layup for the Royals once again. That's going to be Tomo, and Tomo will give it all the way to Lorenz, and it's going to be back to Tomo. That's going to be Rowe to Du Bois. Now it's going to be back to Tomo, who will give it to Ingerson, and now it's going to be Du Bois. Du Bois will spin and give it to Ingerson. That's going to be to Tomo, to Rowe. And it's going to be a foul on Smith. Now it's going to be Tomo, who will give it to Du Bois. And now it's going to be Lorenz to Tomo. And now it's going to be Du Bois to Rowe. That's going to be Lorenz, and Lorenz will drive in. It's going to be blocked by Jacobson. And it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. And Peyton Clement will come out for Torrey Petty. And it's going to be White Mountains to miss a layup. And it's going to be rebounded by Petty. And Petty will give it to Gray. And Gray will give it to Jacobson. To Petty. And Petty will drive in. And just give it to Jacobson. And Jacobson will receive a foul. Clifford will give it to Smith on the inbound, and Smith will just miss a layup. It's going to be a long pass all the way to Lorenz, and Lorenz will pump fake and give it to Rowe, and Rowe will take a floater and will make it for White Mountains. Now it's going to be Smith with the ball for the Royals. And Smith will drive in and give it to Clifford, and Clifford will give it to Gray, and Gray will move in. And it's going to be a foul on White Mountains. And Clifford will give it to Smith, and Smith will take a three and will make it for the Royals. Now it's going to be Tomo to Foss, and it's going to be stolen by the Royals. And it's going to be Gray, who will get it swatted away, and it's going to be Foss, who will give it to Kenson, and Kenson will miss the layup. It's going to be out by Jacobson. And Jacobson will move past defenders, and Jacobson will get it swatted away from, and it's going to be stolen by Lorenz. Lorenz will give it to Rowe, and now it's going to be Kenson to take a three and will just miss it, and it's going to be Tomo to take a mid-range and also miss it. It's going to be rebounded by Smith. And Smith will find Petty, and Petty will give it to Jacobson, and Jacobson will receive a foul. It's going to be Royals ball. It's going to be Clifford to take the inbound. And Clifford will try to give it to Petty, and it's going to be stolen by Tomo. Now it's going to be Rowe for White Mountains. And Rowe will get it stolen from by Gray. And it's going to be foul on White Mountains. be Gray. And Gray will give it to Petty. And Petty will give it back to Clifford. And it's going to be back to Petty. It's stolen by White Mountains Foss, who will give it to Tomo. And Tomo will give it to Rowe, and it's going to be back to Tomo. And Rowe. That's going to be Kenson. It's going to be Foss. Now it's going to be Tomo to pump fake. And Tomo will give back to Foss. Now to Kenson. Now it's going to be stolen by Sophia Smith on the Royals. And Smith will go all the way and stop just at the top of the key. It's going to be now Petty. And Petty will get it stolen from. It's going to be White Mountains ball, and it's going to be Lorenz. And it's going to be Foss to make the layup. It's going to be Smith. Smith. We'll give it to Clifford. It's going to be back to Smith. Now it's going to be Clement. And it's going to be back to Smith. And Clement will take a three and will just miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Rowe. And it's going to be stolen by Smith. And Smith will go all the way. And Smith will make an easy layup for the Royals. Now it's going to be Lorenz, who will give it to Rowe. And it's going to be back to Lorenz. To Tomo. And Tomo with 6 seconds will give it to Rowe. Now it's going to be Foss with 2 seconds. And it's going to be Lorenz to take a three and will just miss it. And it's going to be 34-15 to end the third quarter as White Mountains still continues to gain lead over the Royals. And it's going to be a lineup change, and it's going to be Peck coming in. And it's going to be White Mountains ball to start the fourth quarter. And it's going to be Rowe to Foss. Now Tomo. And it's going to be swatted away by Gray, but it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. Now it's going to be Rowe. And Rowe will get it all the way to Tomo, and it's going to be out of bounds on Gray, putting great effort, but it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. And it's going to be Rowe once again, and Rowe will give it to Foss. Now it's going to be Du Bois. Now it's going to be back to Rowe. It's going to be Tomo. All the way to Du Bois. And it's going to be White Mountains Tomos with the ball, who will give it to Foss. Foss will give it to Rowe, and Rowe will take a shot and will just miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Lorenz. And it's going to be stolen by the Royals, and it's going to be Smith. And Smith will find Peck. And Peck will give it to Clifford, and Clifford will take a three and will make it. Now it's going to be Rowe. And it's going to be stolen by Clifford, and Clifford will give it to Smith. And Smith will give it to Peck. Peck will give it back to Smith. And it's going to be out of bounds on White Mountains. Now it's going to be stolen by White Mountains. It's going to be Rowe to Thomas, and it's going to be swatted out of bounds by Clifford. Now it's going to be Du Bois. And Du Bois will give it to Rowe, and it's going to be stolen by Clement. It's going to be out of bounds on White Mountains. It's going to be Royals ball. Now it's going to be Smith with the ball. And Smith will give it to Gray. And Gray will just miss the mid-range. It's going to be rebounded by White Mountains Lorenz. Now it's going to be Tomo. Tomo will give it to Lorenz. Now it's going to be back to Rowe. And it's going to be stolen by Clement. It's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. And it's going to be Lorenz to make an easy layup for White Mountains. That's going to be Smith. Smith will give it to Gray. And Gray will find Clement. And it's going to be stolen by White Mountains. And it's going to be Foss. Foss. It's going to be blocked by Smith. Now it's going to be Rowe. Pump fake and give it all the way to Tomos. And Tomos will make a mid-range. Now it's going to be Smith. Smith will dribble past defenders and take a floater and will miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Clement. And it's going to get out of the Royals, I think. It's actually going to be out of bounds on White Mountains. Now it's going to be Clement. And Clement will give it to Peck. And it's going to get stolen from Tomo. And it's going to be Rowe all the way to Du Bois. And it's going to be now still Du Bois with the ball. And it's going to be Gray to slap it out of bounds. Now it's going to be Rowe, who will give it to Tomos. Now it's going to be back to Rowe. Now it's going to be Lorenz, and Lorenz will give it to Rowe, and Rowe will take a layup, but will miss it, and it's getting rebounded by Du Bois. And Du Bois will give it to Tomo. Now it's going to be back to Du Bois. And Du Bois will give it to Tomo, and Tomo will take a three and will just miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Gray, and Gray will miss a pass. And it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals, and Abby Harkins will come in for Peyton Clement. Now it's going to be Lorenz, who will give it to Ingerson. And Ingerson will give it to Rowe. Now it's going to be back to Du Bois. Now it's going to be Rowe to Tomo. Now it'll back to Lorenz. Now it's going to be Du Bois. That's going to be Tomo. And Lorenz will give it to Du Bois. And Du Bois will take a three and will miss it. And it's going to be rebounded by Lorenz. And it's going to be blocking foul on the Royals. It's going to be White Mountains ball. It's going to be Emerson to come in for Peck. And it's going to be Lorenz who will receive a foul, and Lorenz will take 2 free throws. going to be Lorenz to miss the first free throw. And Lorenz will miss the second free throw. And it's going to be rebounded by Emerson, who will give it to Smith. And Smith will give it to Gray, and Gray will pump fake. And it's going to be a foul on White Mountains. Now it's going to be Clifford to take the inbound, who will give it to Emerson, and Emerson will pump fake and give it to Gray. It's going to be back to Clifford. And it's going to be Gray to drive in, and it's going to be a travel on Gray. Now it's going to be Rowe, who will give it to Tomo. And Tomo will give it to Lorenz, and Lorenz will drive in and receive a foul, and Lorenz will take 2 free throws. And Lorenz will make the first free throw. Lorenz will miss the second free throw. It's going to be rebounded by Lorenz, who will give it to Du Bois. Now it's going to be Tomo. Back to Du Bois. And Du Bois will give it to Rowe. Now it's going to be Ingerson. Now it's going to be Tomo. Now it's going to be Ingerson to miss the layup. And it's going to be a foul on the Royals. And it's going to be Lorenz to take 2 more free throws. And Lorenz will make the first free throw. And Lorenz will make the second free throw. And it's going to be Smith to Gray. And Gray will pump fake, and it's going to be stolen by Lorenz. And Lorenz will settle it and give it to Tomo. Now it's going to be Rowe, back to Tomo. And that's going to be Du Bois, who will drive in and give it to Ingerson. Now it's going to be Rowe. And still going to be Rowe, who will give it to Lorenz, and Lorenz will drive in and miss the mid-range. And it's going to be, it looks to be a foul on the Royals. Actually, it's going to be a foul on White Mountains. And Erin Chason and Tori Petty will come in for Molly Gray and Abby Harkins. And it looks like White Mountains' Olivia Lorenz will be fouled out. And it's going to be Smith with the ball. And Smith will give it to Chason, and Chason will just miss the layup, and it's rebounded by Clifford. And it's going to be stolen by Rowe. And Rowe will give it to Kenson, and it's going to be a long pass, but it's going to be out of bounds on the Royals. Now it's going to be Smith, and Smith will find Chason. It's going to be back to Smith, to Emerson, back to Smith, and Smith will take a deep three and will make it. Now it's going to be Kenson, who will give it to Hertel. Hertel will give it back to Kenson. it's going to be Hertel to Payer. And it's going to be blocked out of bounds by Smith, and it's going to be White Mountains ball. And it's going to be Kenson, who will give it to Hertel. And it looks to be a foul on the Royals. And Hertel will make the first free throw. And Hertel will miss the second free throw. It's going to be rebounded by Chason, who will give it to Clifford. And Clifford will give it to Smith, and Smith will give it back to Clifford. And it's going to be back to Smith. And it's going to be blocked by Addie Kenson. Now it's going to be Aldrich all the way to Jenna Kenson. And that's going to be Hertel. And now it's going to be Payer, who will miss a mid-range. And it's going to be Hertel. And Hertel will get a blocked shot. And it's going to be Clifford with the ball for the Royals. And now it's going to be Smith to Emerson. Now it's going to be Clifford. And now it's going to be Sophia Smith with 38 seconds to go, who will give it to Emerson. Now it's going to be Chason. Back to Smith, and Smith will take a mid-range and make it. Now it's going to be Jenna Kenson. And Kenson will give it all the way to... Now it's going to be Payer to Jenna Kenson. And Kenson will give it to Chloe Aldrich. And it's going to be Petty. And it's going to be running out of time. And the final score is going to be 23-42. And this stream is brought to you by Blake Howard and Amelia Furbish for the JV game. And for varsity, it's going to be also Amelia Furbish and Riley Hathaway. And you can follow my Instagram at Royal Sports Report, which you can see on the screen right now. And I hope everyone has a good night.